Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that reviews every single video game movie under the sun beyond the stars. My name is Ethan. As always, joining here once more in this middling chapter is Devin. How's it going?
Yes, Ethan.
Perfect.
Quote from the movie.
I'm just going to get right off the bat. That's how I felt about this movie. Yes, Ethan. You definitely watched
I had another
this.
quote, and then that quote happened, and I was like, let me save that one, but I might say the other one, but then I don't remember what the other one was. And yes, Ethan's a lot easier to remember.
Sure.
Because it was something, I don't remember who says it. I saw it on Saturday, so it's not that long ago,
Okay. I saw it more recently.
but yeah, movie.
Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
We do spoilers here, by the way.
Yeah.
Or are we doing non-spoiler? I forget how we do these ones.
We just do full spoiler. I mean, because, really, I don't know how many people, unless it's, the personalities of the podcast hosts that they really enjoy, which, hey, I appreciate that if that's you. But I feel like, personally, for the most part, people are only watching reviews of movies and if they've seen the movie. Even for, the personalities I like, I'm not watching a Red Letter Media review of a movie I haven't seen unless I'm never going to see the movie and I'm just curious, do they like this or not?
Or
honestly, maybe. Maybe. That Venom short, I kept pushing it further and further back because I keep putting in new ones, so that still hasn't gone live, even though it technically.
Well, people should have been tuning into the stream.
They should have.
That was a good bit.
Ago.
I'm very proud of ourselves for that one.
Speaking about streams, I was sick on a recent stream, and now I'm worse, at least on the coughing and nose wise. So if you see me do this,
so Five Nights at Freddy's does to you,
then that means Devin has to vamp. If at any point, Devin, I'm wrap this up, I'm having you just do whatever you need to do to close the show because I need to go. That's how bad sometimes this gets, especially when we're yapping a lot. But yeah, we watched the 2025 film Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the sequel to the 2021 film Five Nights at Freddy's. Was it 21 or 22?
I think it was 20. Let me double check.
It was from this decade. I do not have the information about who directed or even acted in this movie. Obviously, we know Matthew Lillard is in this, and Josh Hutcherson, I believe that's the man's name, is in this as well. Basically,
2023.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
A little bit more recent.
That makes sense. We watched that movie last season here on the Sonic Movie Show, where we draft video game movies. Devin, myself, and then a friend of the show and participant in a lot of our stuff. Really, he's just a third wheel in a good way. David. We have this big kind of game out of it where we're watching these movies and getting points, who gets what points, etc. And so that was on our thing from last season, just last year, and we enjoyed that movie. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't incredible, but we were this was
we were surprised.
Better than it should have been, better than the cash grab would normally have allowed, I guess, to be more than generous.
We gave it a B ranking, which on our video game movie scale is more good than bad.
Yeah.
60-40 minimum, usually, maybe more a little bit. But
if you bring it down to a science, yeah.
Usually it's around there. But yeah, I remember being surprised by hey, you know what? This was kind of fun to watch. There was some decent horror elements. I call it more of a spooky movie. I wouldn't call it horror, where there is some jump scares even in this new one. I don't find. I mean, it's because no offense to anybody, but I watch
real scary movies,
more scarier movies, and those I feel maybe they have made this movies like this a little bit easier to watch. Hey, if you got scared during scenes, cool, whatever. No offense. Just I think it's spooky movies, and I love a good spooky movie too. Sometimes it's fun to just be spook and not scare. I remember I was you know what, this is maybe not a great horror movie, but for a video game movie scale, I remember us being kind of surprised, and that's why we gave it that B ranking. So in a way, I kind of went in being can they replicate that, either by kind of still hitting that same average, I guess, of even if it's a C, I'd still be all right, cool, or will they surprise us, go go further into this, and actually it works more and whatnot. And I was not gonna say I was hyped to go into this movie, but I was like, you know what? I never thought I would say this, but I'm all right.
Sure.
I'm tapped in. I'm gonna trust the process. I'll say, yeah, the same director did it. Emma Tammy
Okay.
did the second one. Looks like it's the same writers, I believe. Yeah, the same writers. I guess the writer did some of the writers on here. I guess are from the video games. I don't know if it's that person. I guess we should start that
Oh.
we both didn't really play the
Well,
games.
for the first movie, I did buy 2 copies because one I sent to the wrong address off of eBay. A collection of the 4 original games on PS4. And in that episode, I described what those games are. I played a little bit of the first one, and I think I opened the second one and was like, just to confirm, yep, it's still this idea. This is what I know it is. That's fine. Of pre-rendered goodness on a budget indie gaming stuff, and uh, those were games that became extremely popular to a younger generation than us. We are 30, and like I always every generation does it. We're like, the version of the thing I like that the younger generation's into sucks. Like, I don't not to do any of that stuff because I think the idea of that original video game is neat and cool. It's executed very amateurishly, but not in like a oh you should have done better. Like that it's a product
It
of all the
works. It works
circumstances
for
of what it
it's
is.
doing.
It's a unique idea, and it became a hit with children because children, for whatever reason, love the like spooky thrills of cute like children's like characters. That game spawned a whole bunch of imitators within that vibe. We played on a Halloween stream year or 2 years ago, a Poppy Playtime or whatever it was called, and that's just a rip off of the vibes of cute
Yeah.
character that kills you. You know what I mean?
Not in game
Type of
mechanics,
thing.
but yeah, in
Yeah,
vibes
yeah.
of like
Um,
right. It's the toy store gone scary.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What if this
or in this
doll
case, this
has
is
a
Chuck E.
knife?
Cheese.
Or even
Yeah,
I
it's
would say like that Megan movie is of a similar vibe, uh, aged up. Or you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is supposed to be a real doll for my daughter
and that
to,
movie,
you
the
know,
first one at least. I didn't see the second one because I heard it was, but the first one actually of Megan, I want to shout out, actually did surprise me as well. As someone who isn't afraid of like the doll thing or
sure.
clowns or anything like that is usually associated with childhood. But yeah, I was gonna say too, like I think around that era too, I think maybe a couple years before was like Slender Man. I still think that
Yep, yep.
has a little bit of that
Because what?
child's perspective, I guess, in the
Because I
context
think
of
it's because kids are the victims, so they see themselves. Kids really love that generation, and I guess us as well. Even though we didn't
hey, we have
grow
it.
up into it.
Or I guess
Well,
our parents had it.
well, I'm not talking about that.
I know.
The YouTube generation, growing up, loves like lore explanations and lore drops and this and that. And I remember, game theory was that dude was in the first movie because he wrote a lot of videos about the Five Nights at Freddy's games, but like that idea of like, oh, is this about this and then blah blah blah, and even if it's just for entertainment value and the guy's not being serious, like kids really love that stuff because they like thinking on that level, which is cool. I will never poo poo that because like it's like the beginning of media literacy. It's the beginning of thinking about a thing that you like, an entertainment property, a story, on a level that isn't the face value presented to you. What does this mean is just a simple question a lot of people that might not be taught to or think about, you know what I mean, when reading books or whatever, if they have bad teachers, I guess, you know what I mean. But like they really latched onto that game series with that, and we talked about in that first review, the creator of the game, Scott Crawthorne, I think was his name. He fed
Yeah.
that. He took what they were reacting to and was validating it and was like, actually, yes. And he was like picking out react like theories and stuff. And was like, I like this. You know what I mean? And just doing that because whether it to be cynical, it will sell more copies of future games. But more in practice, like they really like this game. This is what they like. I want to make them happy. Let's let I mean, and maybe some of their ideas are things I never thought of. You know what I mean. But like it became, and I think it's super evident in this movie, having not really played these games beyond what I already said I had touched, and what I know about these games, a series full of lore, but not a story. There's like they made characters for the movie, right? In that first movie, and they kind of made it work for that, and like they made it a story there. But because, and this is super evident at the end of this movie, this was clearly after the success of that first movie. I opened this episode being like, this episode is the middling chapter, because that's clearly what this was written at. I guarantee they already have an idea. They already had an idea for what they wanted to do that they knew we are not doing in this movie. We need to get to there first. And my biggest observation of this movie is that was written as a stopgap to just set up another movie that they want to do instead. I feel like whether that be for good or bad, that's a bad writing practice. Whether the execution is good or bad, that's a bad writing practice, because to me, it's not really showing confidence in the thing you're doing. You're not excited about the thing you're writing. You're excited about what you want to do next, and you just got to write out some fluff to get there. But that becomes more evident with the whole it's all lore, no story that the games are, because it's like, what parts I recognize is probably an element that's in there. You know what I mean? That we just got to throw in here. We got to throw this in here, because then that kind of gets the YouTube comments of podcasts more popular than ours that are fans of the thing discussing and being like, oh, awesome. You know what I mean? And hype up. And apparently this movie made a lot of money. So like,
I was going to say, I have some
them
stats
to make that third movie.
I have some stats
go for
us. Well, first I'll say Scott Cawthon was the first writer listed on IMDb of 3 writers, including the director, on the first movie. But then this is IMDb, so I don't know if sometimes it's not fully accurate because it's a new movie, it came out. But usually IMDb, even before movies come out, have a good list of who did what, especially top of the bill. But on the second movie, it only has Scott Cawthon as the writer, which I find, which might honestly make some sense. But we'll get into that. But anyways, I just wanted to not clarify, but add to your point about Scott there. But yeah, he was a writer on the first one, and then it says now he's the only writer for the second movie. That's just what IMDb is saying. I don't remember paying attention, honestly, in the credits to that. So feel free to correct us if we're wrong. Anyways, the box office mojo from boxofficemojo.com, I should say. The box office for the first movie, just worldwide, was 291. And right now it's at just in its first weekend, it's number 1, beating Zootopia 2, which is doing very well. I don't know if you heard, but Zootopia 2 is like crushing it. Has been beating Wicked for good, so
I'll take that.
I think that's surprising.
I watched
Five Nights
Wicked
at Freddy's.
Broadway. I was like, man.
Did you?
Yeah, back in 2011. I also saw.
It was like peak Wicked then.
I also saw. Oh shoot, what was it?
Phantom
of the
Opera.
Opera. And we were gonna go see Chicago, but then my dad, I think, learned that it was a bit too risque, and he chickened out to take his son.
I think I saw Chicago somewhere in Rochester, like during one of my music classes, like a field trip. But yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is number 1 right now. It's 63 million, which you're like, that's a long way to go. And like, yes, I don't know if it'll make 291. We'll see. But
it'll probably cross
for a horror movie.
Right?
For a horror movie, a video game movie, 63 million, being and top of the ticket. Also, this is before December, or well, I mean, sorry, not before December, but before the Christmas season, where like families, sometimes go to as growing up, that was like one of our things we'd sometimes do. Not every Christmas, but some Christmases we go see Star Wars or whatever was coming out.
Kids
Avatar,
are coming home and they're gonna go hang out with their and go see a movie.
They might the families might only pick one movie to go see. So they have it squeezed in before that. I think this is pretty good. Like if people are saving their money during what is really bad financial situation in this country right now,
put it on the credit
63
card.
million. Yeah, put it on the credit card. 63 million, I think, is pretty damn good. And I don't see it stopping probably until till probably not this weekend, but then the next weekend. Then you get all your
Okay.
holiday movies.
Sure.
That's where the month, outside of like June and July, like this is where the money is made for these. You have a lot of heavy hitters too. I think coming in this December, but yeah, I mean, for $63 million, I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me compared to other video game movies. I don't think it's going to be like top 3 or anything like that. But
Sure.
to get the last one got 291
I don't
for
think
what?
it'll reach that, but it will be successful enough.
But for a
them to
game
do
that
it
came out 10, 15 years ago,
and
but like you said, those kids have grown up. They can afford to go to this. And I'll say at my theater, the audience was probably in that lower 20s range, like most of the audience. So I guess I didn't feel both too old, but enough to where I was like, I'm not getting jokes here when people were laughing at things. And I was like,
sure.
I don't understand. I'm sure. Is this a reference? It must
references
be.
that go over our head.
Yeah, but whatever. I just wanted to throw that out there. But so yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense though.
Yeah, like there was a guy who's like, I bet you need a good lawyer. Like that was played as a laugh, and I was like, huh?
Yeah, I was like,
because it's probably some YouTube. Like it's kind of like the Minecraft movie. They made a tribute to a creator who had died, but like it's that idea of like we can take in like this younger audience. They love our thing, our game. They also love consuming. They love consuming content about our game through these people. Let's try to get a couple of them to be You know what I mean? It's that idea. I bet. But yeah, I mean, for me, how many people do you want to bet we're watching the movie in that theater with me?
Today? He went today?
Went earlier today.
Monday. Man. Maybe like 10?
It was just me, baby.
You had a private screening? Me. Oh, hey.
That made it all more embarrassing. It's like, fuck, man.
Whatever. Hey, you're holding down the fort, though. Yeah. You're making sure that they get another screen going.
Yay.
I mean, I saw it on Saturday at 2:30. So I was expecting some people. I wasn't sure how much. I wouldn't say it was full, but it was like probably 75, 80. It was not I didn't see it at Dolby or anything like that. So but the one theater I go to now has a little bit bigger, or at least feels bigger. So I don't know how many seats, but I think there's 10 rows in there. So that's probably 40, 50 people, maybe more. But yeah, there was some kids, I think, with like their family, but most of the people in there were like, 20s.
Well, that's what I would expect, because like I have younger siblings that enjoyed watching YouTube content, and they are 21, 22 in that kind of area, right? So like I see that as being like probably the audience that goes sees it, because like I guess the success of that first movie might have gained new young fans, but I feel like its time has already passed, because they come out with these new games every now and then, and they're in a different scope and league of those originals. They're like, they look more like, I don't want to say real video games, but they don't look like that quirky niche idea. They look more like a presentable AAA or AA video game to put on a Walmart shelf. But like I feel like they're only ever marketed, I feel like, to the people who know what the hell they are. They're named terribly in a way that suggests that they are references or ideas of things that only people who know what they are would think that that's a good title. In the Pit is a terrible title. I'm sorry. Whatever. But yeah, so I don't know if this is like a franchise that like is gaining a lot of younger fans, because these movies might actually be helping them. It actually kind of reminds me maybe of those Angry Birds movies that were coming out after the fad was already over. Granted, kids could still play them on, mom's Amazon Fire 7-inch tablet or whatever, but like that was like already over, and we need these movies to help our company Rovio to succeed. I know we once said that we are more famous than Mario characters, Nintendo characters, hubristically in 2009, and now we need this one movie to keep us from. Oh, now Sega bought us, yay! It reminds me of the Angry Birds movies, of like just trying to grab on before it's completely lost cultural relevance and
But
like
maybe that's the
make a
right
big amount of
strategy.
money.
Is
I'm
like
not saying
don't
it's a
rush it.
wrong thing, but just that's what
But
it
like
recognizes
maybe we've
as.
always viewed it. I'm saying like I think I would have. I mean I think previously we've always talked about like why is there an Angry Birds movie so late after? But you know because maybe different production hoops it needs to get through. But maybe it's that isn't a terrible strategy because like I just said when you were 10 years old watching a YouTuber play the first Five Nights at Freddy in 2015. That's 10 years ago. I'm 20 now. You
You
know
are
what? I did like Five
nostalgic
Nights
for
at Freddy.
that.
Yeah, so maybe it works
Yeah.
out for them in that way, waiting. Like if you did it right away,
Yeah.
like for the kids, I don't know how like
I mean,
for
they're making a
especially a
third Angry
horror.
Birds movie. Like, I will feel nostalgia for a time when I had that on my iPhone 4. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, let alone like kids. Yeah, so like I could see that, and like we live in such a world where nostalgia is weaponized against us to make,
For
like
better, for
how
worse, yeah.
dude, the funniest thing I'm seeing on Twitter today is this dude being like showing like what clearly is maybe not AI generated, but just like artistically stereotypical 50s like drawn art of all these people having a fun house party, and the line is like, we need to have house parties again. It's like you're telling on yourself. You don't have friends that invite you to house parties. What do you mean
Right.
house parties? Like, is this some weird racist thing? Is this a class thing? Like, are you just being weirdo, or do you not realize? You know what I mean? But it's like that's a nostalgia we're seeing now. Like, nostalgia is being so weaponized, and in corporate get your money kind of stuff going on here, not just politics. Like it is, yes. Do you remember Mario? Yes. Do you remember? And like, yes, there's Nintendo hasn't let me down with Mario, so it's not like I'm being betrayed on my nostalgia for Mario. But like, this is an example of like, hey, you're nostalgic for this now. It's only been 10 years, but you are nostalgic for this now, and watch this movie. And if it's bad, a lot of people just were not used to accepting bad movies these days anymore. I don't know. Um,
No,
I lost
yeah.
my point
I
there. I'm sorry.
no, I know what you're saying. I mean, I mean, I feel like I think there's a I mean, not to get too deep, I guess, with this, but just like I think there is a nostalgia increase when times are tough where you're like, I want to go back to this time because whether you were a kid or even 10 years ago, I know we've done an episode on this channel about like, the internet and how it's
Yep.
changed in just our lifetime. Like
Dude, that episode was a year ago.
but I think that's a reflection of sometime when shit is feeling really bad or maybe you get older, what I think there's a combination of things, but I think generally speaking when shit gets really bad, some people take it to like you're talking about racism, a white supremacist thing where it's like, oh, I yearn for the 1950s where everything was great. But then some people do yearn for like, man, I miss Star Wars. That's why like it's good that they're gonna wait 5 more years, then bring it back again or reboot
Right.
it again, and it'll be just enough for everyone to forget about the last three, and then be
Yep.
like, yeah,
Yep.
you know what? I have a kid now, and this is their first Star Wars. It's the same thing,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
And
Not
people
saying it's good
like,
or bad, but just like I think that is a reflection of
yeah,
when times go tough. I do believe people. It's natural. It's a safety mechanism in us to be
because
like,
they're
man,
nostalgic
remember
for
when
a
it was great?
feeling that is
Yeah,
attributed to the thing that made them feel that way. That's why when people like you see these people have these like crisis of conscience or faith about the hobbies that they enjoy, video games, for instance, and how they're all different now. It's like, no, you just got older, and like you personally just don't find this as interesting anymore. But no, you need this to because you don't have anything because whatever socioeconomic things are going on, or just maybe you're a shitty person. I don't know,
maturity.
whatever.
Yeah,
There's a lot of different reasons why you could reach that point where it's like you need this to work. So therefore, someone has taken away the good feeling from you from this thing. You know what I mean? Now,
yeah.
I feel like that's a tangent away from this movie because I don't think this movie has gotten to that point yet. Although, if you're a fan out there of those originals and you don't like the VR games and all of this other stuff, and maybe you're also feeling like this, they ruined it, even though like it's just a different. It's just you can't do the same thing over and over again.
I mean,
type of
on
thing.
Twitter, I'll say I sent or I liked one. I bookmarked a couple tweets just to reference for this show, and then
Okay.
now that my For You Twitter page is just all a mix of wrestling with John Cena clips, and now Five Nights at Freddy's like theories, and then people's reaction at the theaters, and I'm just like, I don't know what Twitter. Stop! I don't know what this is. I don't know anything about the new animatron. I don't know who that guy is. I don't.
Oh my
And or I
god.
see the people. I did see people stealing like the signs from
I
the theaters.
saw
Now it's a new
yeah one
thing,
of
and
those.
I'm like, okay, I guess I can understand that to some degree. I feel like if you just ask them, you might be able to get it at the end. At the end, but whatever. Do
Yeah,
you?
well, kids are gonna
Um,
steal stuff. They wrecked that Minecraft showings for everyone. You know what I mean? I will
I
say,
feel like they're.
funny.
I hope that's not what they're chasing. By the way, I don't want like.
Don't
Not
like
saying it's
let Netflix
manufactured, but more
win
like I
on the
don't need the
culture war of
fan.
theaters. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
please.
Um,
Please don't let them. I will cry.
funny thing for me going into this movie is that a week or two ago, Defunctland, which is a documentary YouTube channel by a guy named Kevin Perger. Shout outs to Defunctland. It's awesome. Like real like high production quality documentaries. I don't want to me like, hey, maybe this is aspiring as we are also on the YouTube scene here, but like I refuse to call those videos. Those are documentaries just because of the production
No,
quality.
there's definitely video
Flash them on
essays that
cable
have.
and like it's clearly just
Yeah,
it's a modern style of the Ken Burns documentary thing. And I know Ken Burns also just did a Revolutionary War documentary, which I do want to watch. But anyway, Defunctland put out like a week or two ago, what is like a follow up, a part two, so to speak. But really, it's its own standalone thesis and point A to point B, documentary detailing all of Disney's animatronics with the purpose of making living characters and how they start. You know what the earliest ones are, and to now, and how like it's a lot of like press tour revealing these droids are going to be wandering the Star Wars Galactic's Edge, whatever their theme park part is. They're going to be wandering on their own. They're going to be able to go on their own without any people. You're going to be able to see this entire land swarming with characters and that, and then none of that ever happens. But like they do it for the day for press so that they get a lot of hype, and like there's just a cycle of this and that and this and that. And it was very funny the day after that. I mean that documentary on YouTube has millions of views already. The day after, all of a sudden Disney is now announcing that they have Olaf animatronic from Frozen. He wanders around on his own, and that'll never be a thing. Watching that and then watching this movie here, it's like, huh. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have been ruined for me on practicality's sake, but like I will say to speak a positive about this movie, it is very clearly an animatronic head on a costume that is being controlled, and that at the
no, the
very
practical
least is
effects are very
interesting.
good in this movie, and I
Um,
that's something I liked about the first one. I feel like they improved on it, especially with like shots where they're like further away, like they feel more menacing that way, and they feel real because it is
the
real. I think
material
I
change also helps as well. Having them be hard plastic bodies makes them easier to see in the low light
yeah,
from farther away. It has a physical space to it, you know.
but I do like the I think there was the prototypes they showed. I'm like they should have just rolled with those. Those are way scarier looking.
But like I'm sure there's fucking
Aesthetically.
lore things and that they
Oh, I know,
that
I know.
that,
I'm
that
just
was the
saying for
biggest
like a general audience member like me, if like you're
Sure,
trying to
yes.
actually make it more spooky. I didn't
Yes.
find the what looked like right out of the box ones as menacing. They seemed just like okay.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah. Why don't we talk about the movie
yeah.
and not pitter patter
People
around? It's
people already
mostly
hit
my fault.
disliked. They're like, you don't like this
I'm
movie?
sorry.
Like
I'm sorry. I will say, yeah, I was curious to see, how much you're going to push back from me because I know, generally speaking, I'll maybe not be hyperbolic, but I'm more willing to throw out the a softened "it's terrible" type of thing and have to work up from that. versus maybe the opposite. I understand. But I will just say I thought this movie was really bad. But it's because it felt, again, like a middling chapter that they felt that they needed to just do. You could boil this movie down to a 3-minute scene that is effectively just the ending, because all they really needed is for I think his name is Josh Hutcherson, our main, I guess, protagonist from the first movie. Not much of the protagonist
Yeah,
this time around.
Josh Hutcherson. Yeah.
Hutcherson, okay. They needed him to not like his cop girlfriend, not trust her, Vanessa. And then for her to be possessed, because that's clearly what they want to do for the next movie or whatever. Like that, but like that's really it. Like this movie has a lot of stuff where it feels like we are being, no pun intended, strung along, where it's like, man, why does this girl? First off, all the kids their kids are not, they're not acting realistically. They feel like adults trying to write children that maybe have never talked to children before. Not talked to children before, but you know what I mean? Like talked within like any recent time to know how they would actually react to stuff. Like, you know, it is more than just a nitpicky style of whatever. If it's for the movie, that's fine. It's okay to have a little bit of a fairy tale or a fantastic element to believability on the acting of children. But this, especially with our main girl there, Abby, really felt where it's like, man, this character feels like it's written like to be a 40-year-old woman that thinks she's a child. This is not a child. It's very strange to me how she's super obsessed with all of the ghost kids from the first movie, which they only got one of those actors back for the end. I definitely recognize that, like, gee, not all of them came back.
He's listed as Ghost Kid Blonde Boy,
right.
Grant Feely.
There was like 5 of them or whatever in the first one, you know what I mean? And now, like, we just need one of them. Who cares? She's obsessed with that, but there's no real reason why. Even her older brother is that like, well, they're in heaven, or wouldn't that be what you want? But like, I need them, but you can tell that they wanted to at least try to have the, like, it's the family you have, but versus the family you want type of story, but that's never actually like contested, because she has no reason not to love her brother in this movie, because he's earned that in the first movie. You know what I mean? We have that going on. All of a sudden, Josh needs to, what's his actual character's name? Josh Hutcherson's character needs to just, Mike, that's right. Yeah. Mike needs to distrust Vanessa, and so they just have this like very forced, out of the blue like confrontation. It's like, you lied, or that felt very unrealistic, because it's like, clearly, you know, she has a lot of trauma. Her dad forced her to help her kidnap and kill children. Like, I get it that you might be very wary about your own sister around her, maybe with some new information, but there's clearly a very like underlying fucked up psyche that, you know what I mean? Especially when he's like, I wanted to help fix you or whatever. Like, it just felt very unrealistic in that sense. It all felt, to me, to put the whole thing just out on a platter for you in one sentence, we are being strung along because they didn't know what to do besides have references. They knew that they needed to have the plastic versions, which I think were in the second game. They needed to have those because they probably wanted to get them out of the way to do Marionette possesses Vanessa, whatever, a more interesting thing. It's a very long sentence as my brief sum up, but that is my sentence. And there's a better movie that's like almost teased in the middle towards the end of the third act, where it's like, damn, well, we can get to that later, but I don't know. What did you think about this movie?
So I guess to start with your first point about like, I guess it's more so Abby's character. I think I generally agree with like the dialogue or whatnot, but I think for me, and this is only because I've been watching the new It show, I feel like this felt so much more tolerable and like more realistic, because of the new It show, the kids talk way too much like adults, and it kind of makes me mad. It like takes me out of it sometimes. I'm like, no, kids don't they don't talk like that. I know it's like 1962 or whatever, but I'm like, they don't talk like that. So I like the show generally, but there is some times where I'm like,
Interesting.
I get taken out of it. But I think because I'm watching that, I come to this, I'm like, you know what, this is fine. Like I don't question it too
Sure.
much. But I mean, I feel like the first half had the pacing of the first movie, which I don't mind. Where it's a little bit more slower. Like you said, it is kind of being strung along, but I'm like, you know what, whatever. I've seen horror movies that kind of go this way. I feel like a lot of slasher movies kind of, have this like, we have our one character who's gone through some shit in the past, or had this encounter with the serial killer or whatever in the past. More so like that's the sequels, right? We're like, okay, we have to do a sequel. What do we do? Oh well, the character has to recover in some way. But
I think
I
Black
feel like they don't even
Phone
do it.
2 does that, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I know how like half the Halloween movies I think are like that.
Sure.
Or at least
Yeah.
the remakes rather were kind of about Jamie Lee Curtis's character, like
Also,
recovering.
Alien in a way, 3 and Requiem are basically that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine, and I'm not opposed to that idea. Execution wise, I feel like it's just fine. Like I wasn't really like, I was just kind of letting it happen. It wasn't like in disgust or anything, but I was just kind of like, all right, okay. I did find it a little weird that the kid's obsessed with what should be a traumatic event. Kind of hard for me to believe that. I get like she's supposed to be young and like she loves her, I guess, favorite cartoon characters, I guess is the equivalent. But like, I just feel like there needs to be more there than like we saw people die. We've seen
Yeah.
Shaggy get impaled by the suit himself. I feel like that would scar me. But whatever. I was like, I let all that go. Whatever. Just let's get the plot. And so the first half, I was like, you know what? This is probably a C movie. Maybe I could argue for a B if it keeps going at this, and maybe we'll see. Just on a video game movie scale, I should say.
And then you worked your way up to A. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
no, and then S actually. No,
Whoa.
and then like
I gotta
in the
co-sign
second
that.
half,
I gotta sign off on that with you. Like, you can't just make that decision yourself.
No, but then in the second half, it just started to get sloppy. Like they just it kind of became predictable though. At the same time, like the Mr. Bird getting killed, I thought was.
I love that.
That was coming from the very beginning. Also, Wayne Knight there, who all I could see was his character from Toy Story 2.
The chicken guy.
Like in terms of the energy and how he was like delivering it. But I know that he has other characters that are like
Newman
that.
from
But
Seinfeld, which is how I know him, and obviously he's in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a bit of a reference, him getting killed in a somewhat similar. No, it was the acid spitting on the face. He had his head
still,
ripped
it was
off.
him. It
Whatever.
was him.
It was. I feel like that was at least an attempt
Him being
to
solo killed.
Yes.
But whatever. Like I'm really disappointed with the lack of Matthew Lillard. I feel like you should just not have had him in here at all.
Or one dream sequence.
When it felt like he was pushed to be like bigger
because the
in
next
this.
movie is all about probably her fucked up psychosis. You know what I mean? And he's all going to be up in her mind, and she's probably going to be going around, and he's going to be walking around in the real world like the Joker in a Batman Arkham Knight video game. You know what I mean? Even though he's supposed to be dead. Because when I knew that he dies, like, horrifically in that first movie, but then, like, seeing the fact that he was in the second one, and there was that photo
him in the house.
Of the stairs, and I was like, oh... Okay, so then they must be bringing him back somehow. Like he's all stitched up or something like that. No, it is just in the dream sequence that all it showed was that there's a conflict, and it was supposed to, I think, try to do something more than that.
Well, I feel like he kept saying like you need my help, or you need to complete the family legacy. I'm like, of what?
Yeah, to
of
do
murder?
What? Exactly.
Murder? But why?
She has no confliction.
I'm sorry,
because it's not like he presented to her as a child a worldview that she either convinced herself was agreeable, or deep down as an adult knows, actually I believe this, or something to tug her in that direction. Instead, it is obviously trauma, but not the kind of trauma that would really give you that conflict. Speaking as someone that has never had that, obviously, but that doesn't. Yeah. It just seems like a reach. You know what I mean?
I mean, even for like, I feel like a horror movie trope of like serial killer in the family, or like, Oh, hello, Mick. Sorry, Mickey just. But no, like even for like a horror movie trope, I feel like it's just not as believable because I don't remember him talking about that in the first movie. I'd have to rewatch it, but I don't remember him talking about my
Because it was a
legacy.
reveal towards the end that
That
she's
he
the
was
daughter.
like the only time I remember him talking about legacy is more about like his amusement park, basically.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Rather than I love killing people or kids or
Yeah, for
whatever.
what
Like,
reason? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
obviously, they want to lead to that spot, but they didn't do anything in this movie to suggest that they have an idea what that is. They just like this guy kills people, and I'm a sucker for the "you can't quit me" villain that's stuck, essentially in like the protagonist's mind. She's maybe closer to this movie doesn't really feel like it has a protagonist. It has maybe three of equaling mid quality to them between Mike, Vanessa, and Abby. Um, but I guess like this movie probably because she gets possessed at the end really wants you to maybe relate more to her because Mike is more just around because he had his arc or whatever in that first movie.
yeah,
Not saying anything about him, but like I feel like that's what they really wanted in this one, but it didn't feel like they did anything. And I'll throw this out there. I feel like they even though that first movie, from what I gathered, did a decent enough job on representing the video game in the movie itself, the actions of the video game. Which obviously you're in a security room and you're just looking at cameras and stuff like that, which is what the premise of his job was, right? For this one, it was more about like trying to manage keeping them away from you while you're doing stuff on the computer. They did actually attempt to do that. I remember the mask. I think I probably was in the second one. Although in the movie, I'm like, why don't you just keep it on? I get it, it's big, but like you can balance it on your head. Stick the hole so you can look through it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Whatever.
I knew I let it
Um,
go immediately, even though it was like, oh, this is a reference. I think
yeah,
it's
I get it was
cheesy.
like
I
that.
think it shouldn't work, but whatever for the sake of
But
a callback to the game, whatever.
but I will say it presented a more interesting movie and maybe even game because I don't think that they had done this before. Is when they're out on the town, these animatronics, and he's seeing the dots on the map, and when Mike is at the computer and Vanessa's driving around, like that's an interesting concept of like trying to stop and corral these while they're split up and on the move, and like I'm picturing like a Resident Evil like thing with her with a gun. You could easily shoot
Yeah.
these things and damage, some computer part in their
I'm gonna
body
let Mickey
somewhere.
out. Sorry, go keep going.
Sure. I audience, that's what I'm like expecting something like that maybe going on while he like is trying to help her, as the guy in the computer chair. But they don't do it that much. They don't really go that far down that road. It kind of just felt like you're watching things happening, that you're just watching it play out. If this entire movie to me, and I'll repeat this again for Devin when he comes back, but this movie for me felt like you're watching everything just play out and nothing unexpected or any twists or any long exposures on that are happening. Again, it really felt like this movie was just you're watching it play out without anything interesting or unexpected happening. It all felt like once it's introducing a concept to you, you know what's going to happen. Scooby-Doo gang is exploring this. They're all going to die. She's out on the town. There's one of them's going to get in the car. When he's sitting at the computer desk, he's gonna find the thing at the last second. When the yellow duck one gets to the school, it's gonna kill Newman from Seinfeld. It's a lot of like as soon as they introduce the concept, you watch it play out and you know what's gonna happen.
Except
already.
for one where I felt like would have been cool
Go for it.
was the Faz Fest, which they kept showing and like hinting at the whole time. It's gonna be this big event that's gonna happen, and then they did show them the first when the animatronics come out. They do like walk around, and like I think it's the bear one. Is talking to the fans like, "Wow, it's a great thing," and that's all we get.
Yeah,
I'm like, where I thought for sure this was gonna be the final thing, and I would have been okay. Like, even if it was predictable, I would have been like, cool,
the sacrifice or something. Like what? Because here's the thing, story wise, it does not make sense why that would be culturally relevant to have a thing. Even ironically, it's not like we have Harambe Fest. You know what I mean? Where something
Yeah.
tragic happened and we think it's a joke. You know what I mean? To do that, like to the extent of what that is.
We are Charlie Kirk, though.
But he's an awful person who deserved it. Quote me. Harambe deserved life more. I don't know. But you get the idea of what I'm going for. Like, no way. Even if, okay, we joke about as a generation in 2025. I'll just say from this year. Pretend I'm not referencing any previous years. We joke. We make 9/11 jokes, right? I get it.
I mean, the Charlie Kirk thing was a joke where I was saying like the
Right? No,
fact
I
that
get
like
it.
our generation makes fun of like awful shit, but we don't have a big events like like
Sure,
what you're saying.
sure. But
It's
like, I don't
also
know.
it'd
It
be
just
really weird.
didn't make any sense to me. Yeah. But then, yeah,
No,
like
yeah, but I'm
you're
saying
saying they
even if you let it
introduce it
go
and
and they don't have anything they don't have anything going like for it. Like or unless that's the beginning of the third movie, but like why hint at it multiple times and then I just feel like there isn't that
right.
payoff of like, all right, there's this big event happening and they're now out in the streets. I thought all that's where they're all gonna like come to at the end. They're all gonna get there and like no one's gonna believe it's real until the Abby or Mike has to convince everyone like, hey, these guys are, and then like the town
Yeah,
has to
don't
like.
let it hug you. You know what I mean? Like, but there
I
was
was waiting for
some
like a cool like funhouse segment where like they're in a funhouse full of mirrors or something and like
and kids are
the
being chased by the thing. But
yeah, and there's just no like of that.
yeah,
We just get houses like throughout this whole movie. It's just houses in the school
yeah,
office or
yep.
gymnasium, and it's like not
Because
really
they're
like
cheap locations to shoot. Um,
yeah.
here's my
It's probably
thing.
from another set.
Well, yeah. I
Well,
mean,
it was Bloomhouse. It might have been the freaking sets from Halloween that they shot the last Halloween movie in a couple years ago.
very
Some
well
of those
could
sets
be.
did look
Very well
honestly
could be.
familiar.
Yeah,
So
very
it
well
could be
could
the
be.
same suburban houses that,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
that what's his name's going through, Michael Myers. So like it easily could have been. And they're like, oh, we can destroy this set because it's we haven't destroyed it yet.
Right.
So
And whatever. We used it for
I'm
two
not.
movies. That's a savings. We're
Yeah.
all about the savings at the Blumhouse. My other thing too about like we would talk about like the animatronics walking around and like, oh no, at Fast Fest they're gonna kill the kids, but they and I understand that there is a logic behind this reasoning. There's justification behind it, but it's never set up that like our villain, Cassandra, the girl that dies in the flashback in the beginning, and becomes the marionette, Charlotte, um, that like she's distrustful of parents because they do this. It's so unrealistic, and I hate saying that because it sounds nitpicky, like oh, it's not real, therefore it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Whatever. But like, come on, she's this distressed child is going up to all these adults and they're brushing her off. Like, fuck off.
And it
Come
wasn't
on.
in the ways they were
Didn't
brushing
seem
her
like
off. It felt way too like unless they're gonna say like that's not what happened. Like I was waiting for like halfway through or maybe towards the end of this movie,
an
be like
unreliable
that's
narrator
not what
type of scenario.
the
I get
parents
it.
didn't say that. Like they said this and like you interpret it that way.
Right,
But
right.
But that's what it showed to us, and I have
When
to
it's
kind of
shown
take it at
straight,
face value.
exactly.
Yeah.
But this girl, the spirit girl, has decided all parents are not worthy of life or whatever, and so like the whatever the plan of a child doesn't need to make sense. There does not need to be an end goal that seems achievable, but just these guys, these three dudes, two of them really, because the yellow one's gonna stay with Abby. The bunny and the bear are gonna walk around and just find adults and kill them, I guess, but not fast enough to actually succeed at all. Because imagine if they did kill a few, and what the state of because honest to God, Devin, there is one couple who got coincidentally lucked into being where Vanessa was gonna smash her car into the house to kill two birds with one stone by throwing the fox at the bunny. The blue. I know they have names, and I know the names, and I'm sorry, I'm still calling
Foxy, I
them
think, is
by
the only one I remember because it's right
Bonnie.
there.
Freddy is the bear.
We
Chica
should
is
know
the
Freddy,
duck.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, is it? But
Five Nights
he's the
at Freddy's.
dog.
Freddy's just some guy.
He's just some man from San Alberto. But yeah, there's like those parents, and like there's the one mom and the girl, and like that's it. But like imagine if like they succeeded a few, because since they didn't, and the only people who died was Newman from Seinfeld under mysterious circumstances.
Very mysterious. The guy's head's just popped, but it's fine.
Right.
Whatever.
And I think that's it. Like, you're not setting up an interesting world state now. You know what I mean? Because it's as if this movie didn't happen. A character we did not know prior to this movie is now dead, Newman from Seinfeld. But other than that, the state of the world is the same, except a couple of character relationships are changed, and that's it. So it feels uninteresting. You could, honest to God, Devin, you could skip this entire movie, jump from that first one to whatever they do with 3, assuming 3 is indeed, and they're not doing the Resident Evil, Paul W.S. Anderson, I'm just going to do something else now. They're not going to do, if they're actually going to follow through with what they teased at the end of this movie, then, like, cool. You can just make one sentence up, either yourself as an audience member or more likely them reminding you, and then that's it. And that's it.
I think this movie also, I'm not trying to be like a gore horror here, but like I think this movie could have also benefited from being rated R. Would have made those people who do die more memorable, or at least more I don't know, exciting. Because I kind of was getting annoyed with the cutaways, but I know it's PG-13. But I'm like, I still think they could have done a little bit more.
I think they by making a PG-13, they can get away with kids younger than 13 still seeing it. I think that's the read. Like, parents are going to be like, fine, but not with an R-rated
But if they're
movie.
playing, I guess to be fair, the games aren't gory. But I don't know, just like with what the style of this movie, even the first movie, I feel like the first movie was a little bit more graphic, I guess, in that regard. Like, at least felt, I don't know, the creatures, the animatronics felt more threatening. Like, as an audience member, to be like, all right, these things can kill people and have killed people. And I understand, like, we have the first movie to go into the second movie with, but still, like, I feel like I needed, once again, there was no real big payoff with this movie. And I think that's what it's missing is, like, I would at least forgive a lot of the issues with the story if there was some more payoffs in the horror elements, but also with the things we did like from the first movie. Matthew Lillard's only in it for 2 scenes, really.
I think 2, yeah, like a flashback and then the dream.
Yeah, so, like, you have that. And like you said, like, I like the marionette idea. It looks kind of cool. I like how it looks visually. And I was waiting for some big fight, and they're trying to set up now a third movie, but like, where is the set piece where you at least show how menacing this spirit is? Because it shows Abby was controlled by it, but then okay, we have this weapon to like at least make it leave temporarily, but like that didn't feel like a cool fight. That just felt like, yep. And then the other ones from the previous movie
that was
showed
just
up.
Fan service for the kids, they were like, yep, because these
such
are
an anticlimactic.
and...
Like I was like, okay, so now we're gonna go to the festival, and this is where the real fight's gonna be. No.
Yeah, which ones of these can you trust? No, we're not doing.
There was nothing. There was not like the fact that final battle was in a living room. I'm sorry, just isn't cool. Like I feel like you deserve better if you're a fan of this. Like, you didn't do it at Freddy's, or you didn't do it at the fan fest that they were talking about multiple times and setting up for that to be shown 1 or 2 times. I think the biggest scene, like I said, is when Freddy the bear or whatever is walking through it. That's the biggest scene,
man.
Like, you hired all those people to be on set to just do that? No shot. I hope the third movie kicks off with that, because if not, then that felt like a waste of all that. Like, I don't know, just felt I
agree 100%. Here is how I am like fitting this movie, and it's an unfair comparison, whatever. I'm going to compare it to the Sonic movie 2. Sonic movie 2 can easily replace the first Sonic movie. It is a bigger scope. It is a more realized vision of the concept. You know what I mean? They could literally have not made that first movie, made the second movie exactly how it is, except obviously not have you know that.
You can cut the first 10 minutes of the first Sonic movie and just put that.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Exactly. You could do that, and
we like the first movie,
it's
but
the idea that they wanted to do expanded bigger. The idea of this first Five Nights at Freddy's movies, the FNAFs movie, is a sound idea. we gave it a B, right? And the scope is of the Freddy's Pizzeria Chuck E. Cheese place, right? Okay. We want to make a second movie. What they should have done, this is me armchair, computer chair, Corsair chair, directing here, writing here, is to do that idea again, but bigger as a sequel. That Faz Fest is a bigger venue of the Haunted Freddy's place. That is literally a larger stage for you to do bigger scale versions of those frights, those scares, those chase sequences, House of Mirrors, circus tent, cotton candy. I love saying cotton candy. That's why I said it twice. You can do interesting things like that, but no, they wanted to make this into like probably a quintology. They want to keep going until they're done. They are looking too far ahead. We respect that at least so far, all three of these Sonic movies have been written as if they could just be the last one. You know what I mean? Without being like, yes, they're going to set up Amy, right? And then the fourth one. But okay, we never got to do that. Oh well. But you didn't feel unsatisfying how the movie ended in relation to the story it told. But this movie does, because this is a middle chapter of probably two middle chapters. I don't know. They clearly got, I want to say too big for their britches, but they're clearly looking farther ahead and being like, we're planning the whole thing out. And even, like, I understand people mistakenly think that that's what the Marvel movies were doing. They were flying by the seat of their pants. They had more misses than they had successes in that connective tissue regard. We, in hindsight, are like, Endgame. That makes it all connected. It was all planned. Like, no, they had writers make it all work in hindsight.
And they got a little bit lucky in some areas, for sure.
It's hard. You can tell. It's very hard to plan out these things, these trajectories.
And it's a risk. I think it's always a risk.
Because when you stop doing it in the middle, you failed. You know what I mean? It's not like a thing where, like, we're filming all three Lord of the Rings once. We will release them. Or, like, some movies do that. Hey, we're filming part 1 and part 2 of this. We know we're going to release part 2 and 3. But
even part 1 movies have, like you said, some sort of payoff or some sort of, like, man, I can't wait for the second one. As much as...
Especially ones that come from books.
As much as we critique the MCU and, like, I know we come... Maybe if you've watched a more recent one last year or so, like, conversations about MCU and how we're kind of sick of it. We did like it though in the moment, and it was fun. It was different at the time. It's now stale, but like it was fun to get in that build up or to watch them and all that to get to that moment that it was gonna work. I get it. I totally get it. But like that doesn't mean everything has to do it that way either. And or if you're gonna do it, you got to have it pay off. Like Infinity War paid off for the most part to get into Endgame. If it didn't, people wouldn't have been ready to get night one tickets for the movie. Like,
but they didn't,
to that level of which it was, where it was a cultural phenomenon. I'm not saying Five Nights at Freddy's needs to get to that level or anything like that. It's more of just that. I'd be really curious to see. I mean, we're not Five Nights at Freddy's fans. They need to earn
the steps there, I think, is kind of what we're saying, right? They need to earn those steps.
Because even Sonic 3, I was like they still had moments of payoff. Yeah. Maybe not for me. Every single hit was a hit for me, but like at least it was like, okay, I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? For this movie, I felt like you said, it's like a middling chapter, or just like, wait, what? Like, wait, why is it ending here? Like, I was like, okay, I like let a lot of stuff go. I really did. I was like, it's fine, whatever. Like, it's cool. I had fun at moments in this movie, and I was like, cool, I'll let it go. This thing I didn't like, but whatever. This was cool. I like the marionette. I want to see where this goes. Okay, so she's possessing Vanessa, and now Mike doesn't like Vanessa for reasons. I mean, I get the reasons, like, oh, you've brought pain to my family, but it's like, bro, you let this Abby, your sister here, be like weirdly like possessive about what should, like I said, be a traumatic event. That didn't pay off for me. So all these pieces just didn't stick. And when you don't have anything that sticks at the end, it just kind of makes it disappointing.
Yeah.
So it's weird to say I'm disappointed about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I never thought I would say that sentence, but like the first one we gave a B, and I was, like I said, not hyped, but like I was like, all right, sure, let's get a sequel. Let's see what we can do with this.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, why should I care about a third one if are you saving everything for that? But that kind of just feels rude to me as my time where I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
I need to do homework. That's one of our issues with the MCU. We shouldn't have to do homework for
Yeah.
every little thing to get every little thing,
Yep.
to
Yep.
get that payoff.
Yep.
Um,
100%. 100%.
every single time. So
Yeah.
like, there's still elements in Endgame that you paid off as itself outside of references. Like, you know what I mean?
And
So
there was enough in there to like it was a lot of that stuff
granted,
was
three
all
and a half
so
hour film,
right.
but
It was so rapid fire and a lot of that stuff where it's like a lot of things are going to miss you, but enough are going to hit you that it's going to feel like a complete, thing for you at the very least here. But like, you and I didn't understand why that guy said, "I bet you need a lawyer," and then looked at the camera or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and that there was like a couple moments like that, and not a whole lot of like things for us that felt tangible as recognizable, isolated for the
and
movie
yeah, our
itself.
characters didn't grow in any ways except like their relationships changed. Like you said, I think it's a
Right.
good point where like you could still have people have an arc of some sort, even a minor one. Like, okay, Abby learns that she needs to let go of these stupid animatronics
Let go of the
now.
ghost kids. Make real friends. You clearly were kind of getting that. So, like, you know what I mean? They had that scene where she's telling the story, and maybe the kids didn't believe her, but they found her entertaining enough to genuinely like
She did have the
her.
one friend who was at the science project that we never see again
Right.
after that scene. So it's like,
Maybe he
I hope
died
he
too.
comes back. I don't know. Maybe he comes back in the third one. I hope he does, I guess, just to see if that, once again, is there going to be a payoff with that? I feel like there's just too many things in this film, and there was really no payoff for almost any of them, except
Yeah.
for if you're a big fan of this, you got your references. And I'm sorry, I hate that goes back to the nostalgia bait. That's my issue with like Alien Romulus. I liked Alien Romulus generally speaking, but there was way too much. Yo, the guy said the same line as like they did in the other movie, or oh my
Sure.
god, this character is from this movie. It's okay to just do an original story in the same universe. I think that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, for that example. But like, and for anyone in Five Nights at Freddy fan who's still watching this for some reason, who isn't mad or whatever, I'd love to know your thoughts about like it generally, but also take away. I want to know like if you take away the references, do you think this was a good story or like found this interesting? Because I feel like it just was what it was,
Right.
and I didn't
Yeah.
get any payoff to like make it feel worthwhile. Like I said, probably the first half I was like, all right, we're putting the pieces together. I'll let it go. I'll suspend my belief with some of the characters and their choices as long as there's a payoff, and there was no payoff.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I feel like you summed it all up. We could pull up more examples, but it all just leads back to Rome here. Our finale to this episode. It's just funny, like it's rare now that it's just you and me reviewing a video game movie
I
on
do
this
wish David saw
podcast.
this since he did watch the first one.
Yeah, but I'm glad we didn't force him to do it because I would have felt bad that he would have wasted his money. And that's my review of this movie. I would have felt bad if I forced you to watch this movie, or at least pay for it, or waste your time with me, or you know what I mean, whatever, in whatever context. So like yeah, but like it's very rare that we just review new video game movies, just the
well,
two of
David
us.
is here. If you see in the background,
Yes,
he's
he's been.
he's here in
Hey,
spirit.
and this is the same background from the first one. I just slapped a bunch of giant twos on the screen that are way
I
too
did.
big.
It looked new enough. I remember the screen
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
things, but I don't remember all the details. But
Anyway, so like I forgot, like, oh yeah, I don't need to do a game show. I don't need to do this or that, but we do need to at least give this a tier. We're not going to open up the thing and show all the things. That's for the actual real like draft game, league.
all you have to know, really, though, at the end of the day, is there's an S through F scale.
Yes.
It's on a video game movie curve, so it's like an S video game movie might only be a B to someone else in a regular movie scale. That's okay, or maybe it's the other way around. I never even thought about that. Maybe you're like video game movies are the best type of movies there are, so
Right.
S is in its own league. All
Yes.
right,
Yep.
no movie will ever touch
A,
that.
B, C, D, E, F with S right on the top there. C is in the middle. We gave the first one a B, like Devin said. More good than bad, and we were genuinely surprised. I feel very confident in saying this because this movie kind of pissed me off and was very bad, it's an E. It's not a D because a D has a bit of boredom to it, bit of lost opportunity. This movie hubristically attempted to assume you were going to enjoy whatever it was going to do while it set up a third movie. It was very taking advantage of its audience and its fans, assuming that they would have liked this slop. And to me, that is far more egregious than just, it was all right, whatever, it was boring, D. To me, this is an E. I think this movie is terrible in the ways that are more than just milquetoast. But what about you?
Man, I don't even know anymore. I feel like going into this conversation, I'm like, this is a low C, probably a D. But then the more like we talked it out, like a good therapy session, you start to the weeds and the clouds, the smoke and mirrors, all that. You're like, when you get down to its roots. And I'm trying to like remember the video game movie scale because I remember David said in one of our episodes maybe I'm too harsh, and I took that to
on
heart.
His movies.
On his movies, and I'm like I took that to heart. I think it might have been Werewolves Within where I was one of the few times me and Ethan disagreed. You and David were together on that. And I remember David's like, I remember a video game movie. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. I'll remember that. Now I'm remembering. But the more we talk about this, I'm like, I said I had fun at moments, but then like when I think about it, I'm like, is it more just I like the atmosphere at moments and that's it? Like there's no like character moments where I'm like, that was cool. Like outside of the monster of the marionette, which was cool, but had no payoff. It aesthetically looked cool. And really no screen time, except for when she was the ghost hunter girl. And I'm like, okay, is that going to be like what she's going to manifest as until they defeat her or something? And yeah, there's just like the more like I think you've convinced me that like this maybe is an E. Like I was leaning more of a lower C, high D, just because once again that scale is so hard. The more movies we add to it, the harder it gets sometimes. Of like that's why we have a rubric a little bit, but I also don't want to fight you on it because I'm like I don't I don't really have. Maybe it's because I drafted the first movie and there's like a little bit of like empathy I have. You know what I mean? Like this is my draft pick. The first one. I'm like
that's how console war bullshit happens, though.
Yeah, we were like
you made a purchase and you made a social investment in something, and you need it to not let you down. I get it,
but I'm also like I said, I don't think I'm gonna fight you. I think we just put it at E, and maybe we'll come back around on it. Probably not. Maybe we'll come back around on it when the third one comes on. Maybe I hope
I really never see this movie again.
Me neither. But I'm hoping the third one is good enough to where I'm like, what? I will rewatch the second one because maybe there's something in it that now I missed. Like that's how good I want the third one to be. I'm cheering for. I want the Five Nights at Freddy fans to eat. You know what I mean? I do. I want you guys to eat. I want you guys to have fun.
I don't want any fans of video games besides Borderlands fans to be unhappy. You know what I mean? So. And actually, you know what? I'm glad David didn't see this movie with us because, not that we went together, but you see it for this podcast because should they make a third one, which I feel like financially they probably will be able to, and if he does want to see that for the podcast, he doesn't need to see this movie. We established you don't need to see this movie at all. I can tell you right now, I know what that third movie is, and I see it all in my head right now. You don't need to.
All right, you want to do predictions? A quick
I'm lying, but like it's more of a vibe.
If it doesn't go to the Faz Fest and we just completely ignore that, then I will be mad. Then I will be like, what happened to my beloved?
Bigger. It's now like Fast Fest and Fast and Furious, where it's in the desert. Oh my god, no! It'd be like Fire Fest. They're all on an island.
I don't know where they're going with it, but the
honest to God,
ending
so here's
showed
the thing that I can. The worrying part that I can see happening, Devin, is that they're splitting this into two directions. Because a core movie of Five Nights at Freddy's clearly needs to have the animatronics be like the thing, but like human woman possessed, that's a different vibe. TV show. Like that's how this happens. This
Mm.
happens in a lot of television shows like
We're getting
the CW.
Knuckles. We're getting Knuckles.
Like CW like style television shows do this a lot, but some movies as well. They like kind of soft launch a pilot where like here are some new characters or a concept, and then they gauge the reaction. Now we're gonna make that into a thing because fans really liked it. I can see them being like, hey, maybe this Vanessa thing will be just like a B plot to our third movie. But like, oh, because people were really hyped about it, let's make it its own movie or like I can see them again because of how this movie ended up. I can see them already have planned out too far in advance and not one at a time, expecting any one of these to be the last that they'll ever do. To just be like, yep, and a TV show, and yep, and a this, and yep, and I mean,
I think they're just banking on just doing more of whatever the next game in line is, because I'm assuming the second one there was like you mentioned.
I know the second game had the plastic bodied like versions, but like I don't know if these are like, I don't really know if again, a lot of lore, not a lot of story, because it is just meant to be a fun idea of a game and not like a prestige television movie series, right? Not a Blumhouse production back in 2014. I digress. Devin, I enjoyed talking to you about this movie. I did
more
not
than
enjoy
he did
watching
watching
this
it.
movie. Not at all. Not in the slightest. I will just say, I would like a tiny apology from you. Like a tiny apology from you. In a Discord conversation we had a month or so ago, you posted like a trailer for this, and I said something to the effect of "Oh boy" or "LOL," okay, and you were like off put. You were off put by it. You were off put by it.
I was like, hey, that's the one of the picks that got
it.
me the win in the fantasy video games. I'm
But
like,
I was right. I was right.
Luckily, I didn't draft it. Luckily, I didn't draft.
Well,
we didn't have to draft it.
We wouldn't have. That's unfair. I feel like in either direction to draft.
I did
what
look
if the movie
at
just doesn't come out? You know what I mean?
I did look at the Rotten Tomatoes, which we do on our video game movie reviews for other ones, like the non-released ones. 50% critic score, but not 87%.
Yeah, because it's
popcorn
children and like man babies.
No, the first 5-star review that I see right here, it says Josh Hutcherson was hot as fuck.
Okay, a 12-year-old girl wrote
and then
that.
It said kids, and I enjoyed it after that. Someone named Brenda.
Okay. I will say I like him as an actor. Just generally, I like the idea of him. He's the kind of actor I'm rooting for. Like, yeah, get a role. Awesome. Like, cool. Same thing, honestly, when Newman showed up, like, fuck yeah, whatever. Who cares if you're in this shitty movie? Like, get it. You were in Jurassic Park. You were,
I mean, honestly,
one of the best
Jurassic
parts
Park
of
and Toy
Seinfeld.
Story 2 in Seinfeld, like, I'm putting that on my mantle. Anything after that is for fun. Like,
yeah, why not?
I get it.
You know what I mean? Like,
also, can we defend our boy Matthew Lillard, because
him as well.
Washed director. I'll say it, washed director. Even though he hasn't put anything out since the movie I did like.
He put out his Fortnite thing. You hear about that, dude? You didn't know about that? Fortnite has a giant Kill Bill collaboration.
I saw Kill Bill was re-released in theaters, and like that's what was on the box office.
In which the lost chapter to Kill Bill, written and directed by him in Fortnite, aired. The Fortnite animated like lost chapter
Who does he think he is?
Buddy, that's your 10th movie. You don't get to pick. You released your 10th and final film in Fortnite. Fuck you. I loved a lot of Quentin Tarantino films. Jackie Brown, I love it a lot. I like Inglourious Bastards as an idea, although nowadays the wrong people will take it. You know what I mean? Wrong. And I as a teen, I really liked Pulp Fiction. I think it's a lot of not Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. I think it's a lot of this right now. And I really find, hey, you just really wanted to say the N-word in that one movie. And what's the movie with the whatever? Django Unchained. Douchebag. My favorite thing out of all of this, and I texted you this, I'm going to do my impersonation of it right now. Alec Baldwin is sitting in the driver's seat of his car, but the phone is mirrored because he's clearly sitting in what would be the passenger seat, but he's in the driver's seat. He looks at his phone. He says, I just want to say I love Paul Dano. And anybody that doesn't love Paul Dano, shh. And he closes it. It's been on loop in my fucking head. I love it so much. Alec Baldwin killed a man, and I have empathy for him right now. And that because Tarantino needed to attack. Also, Owen Wilson as well took a random shot.
Like, why? Like, what is your end goal there?
You watch Cars and lost respect for a man? Like, get over it.
Dude, Cars is... Guess what? Guess where Cars is? I bet you Cars is everywhere. All right? Lightning McQueen's cool. All right? Memorable.
Oh my god! But yeah, he took a shot at Matthew Lillard, and I watched that video.
I just don't know what this guy's problem is. The last 2 years, he just got pissed. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and he's like, you know what? I'm mad.
Yeah, well, he needs to say that so and so is the only person qualified to direct his sequel that he kind of wrote or whatever to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because he's the only other good director like him. Like, get the fuck out of here! I don't know. But yeah, he took a shot. He took a shot at a few people on a podcast.
But yeah, Matthew Lillard is always welcome on the show. Yeah. And if anything, I give him. He's been in multiple video game movies. If anything, we should put him in the same category as what's his name, who was in Sonic movie because he was in a couple other ones.
General guy.
Yeah, I forget his name because he was in. I don't know. We should. That's an episode idea. We need to make a Hall of Fame video game movie, like actors and actresses and directors. Matthew Lillard, I'm going to say right now, you are in the Hall of Fame for video game movies.
I watched that video of him sitting on the floor talking to a girl in a Scooby-Doo voice because she was very shy or a shaggy voice, you know what I mean? And yeah, he's a good dude. He is welcome, you're right.
I'm putting him in the Hall of Fame, video game, movie, actor, Hall of Fame, putting him in there because he was the only one of the few, there's a great cast on paper. In the Name of the King, and he was the only character that I resonated with, and I felt bad for him because I know he was trying.
Like he was having a good time.
He was trying.
Burt Reynolds was probably drunk as fuck, like out of depression for that movie. Yeah.
So, and you know, I will defend Matthew Lillard to my dying day. All right,
absolutely.
Let's go.
And we live in a world now where we're inundated with so many '80s nostalgia bait legacy sequels where the thing has to come back. It's either they're really old now or it's a new generation, and we hate all of that, but fuck it. Give me a 48-year-old Shaggy and Scooby movie.
You want a washed up? Oh, I would love Scooby-Doo.
I don't want Fred, Daphne, or Velma in it. Maybe on the phone.
You just want them to be
Scooby and Shaggy
this
movie.
This is kind of dark.
They would call it
this is kind of dark. This is kind of dark, but you could pitch it that Scooby is getting old, and he's trying to do bucket list shit with Scooby, and you make it a really
damn, yeah,
you know what I mean? That'd be kind of fire though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who owns Scooby-Doo. Who bought all the Hanna-Barbera stuff?
I thought Fox did, which would then make Disney. Someone does. Paramount, or is it Paramount? Does. Who knows? By the time this episode airs, it might be new companies involved with buying Netflix or who's buying Warner Brothers, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Everyone's buying something. But Matthew Lillard, you're welcome on the show anytime. Quentin Tarantino, maybe 4 years ago, I've been
pay us to be on the show. How's that, Quentin Tarantino?
I would say 4 years ago, I probably would have been yeah, dude, come on. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You don't go after our friends.
You made 2 good movies, Tarantino. 3. I'm going to count The Hateful Eight as the third one. I really liked Kill Bill 1. Did not like the second one.
Hateful Eight was good. I like Once Upon a Time.
I didn't really care for that movie.
I need to rewatch again because it's been whenever that movie came out.
Jackie Brown's a good one. Only one gunshot in that movie.
Guess what? Quentin Tarantino, you'll get back in our favor if you make a video game movie that's good. And isn't have you a foot fetish thing in it. Please stop.
Or if you want to go the Jester route, you can make a sequel to that terrible Reservoir Dogs video game because you know that game was very bad and you just signed away that license. If you want to make us laugh at you, then you can do that as well. Or $5,000 is your guest appearance fee to us. If you
That's not bad. That's a deal.
Tarantino, yeah.
That's us being nice.
We'll split it 3 ways between you, me, and David. Is $2,500 to you and $2,500 to me.
Not
0 to
bad.
David.
That's a deal for you,
Yeah.
Quentin.
Thank you guys for watching. I have to click a button over here to swap to this, although I never remember to put anything in the thing over there. That right now is obfuscated by a lot of dark imagery, which I always remember don't have things too dark on the backgrounds because it hides a lot of elements. But yeah, now you can see the rectangle. There's a thumbnail in there. You can click that, whatever that. That'll link to the first movie. It probably won't.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for watching. Take care of yourselves out there. And 5 nights.
A brim to.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.